What's up, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to a Social Matrix podcast. I am your host, Armin, and today we have a special guest here with us. His name is Sergey. He's into seduction, dating, and BDSM. Sergey, please take it away, brother. Give us an introduction about what you do and a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I have been into the scene for a while. I started with David W. Dating when this whole thing was underground. Basically, I was into that stuff before everybody got into this, and then this book came out, basically exposing everyone out, which was the mystery method. And then we had the whole entire everybody started to get into the PUA stuff. And I started at one point, I created a few online classes about dating, and they were quite successful on Udemy. And this is where the secret group came to be. And that group has a lot of members now, by invite only, by the way. And the thing is, what happened was that this was a group intended to get everyone who is into that stuff so we can learn from each other and stuff like that. What happened was that those classes that I had going on, Udemy decided to go ahead and pull them out. Not only mine, almost everyone's on that site. And they decided we no longer want to have anything to do with that because once it got mainstream, people were like, they don't like this stuff, so and so on. But I was always into this kind of stuff. And specifically, I was always into impact play. And I would buy pedals and they suck. Like I would buy them. They would never be the pedals I want. So I finally teamed up with this guy who was master at making them. And I am the one who designed the designs. Like I kept on saying, you make exactly this design. And I started coming up with version 1, which was sold. And then I came up with version 2, version 3, version 4. This is over like 10 years, my Etsy shop that makes the actual pedals. And we also have another product that I want to talk about a little bit about this. And I don't know if you have any questions because we're going to go into questions too. One of those things is that the perfume, or cologne, or like sprays that you put on. But basically for me, it was cologne. I would put that on myself. For a girl, it's perfume. But for a guy, you want to put something on to get them attracted to you. And pheromones always sucked because the smell was so nasty. I mean, it worked, but the smell was just not good. So my ex at that time created this amazing version. And she put it on and it worked so good. And then she made a bunch of copies for me until I got to the last bottle. So
You said to the last bottle?
Yeah, I got to the last bottle and that was it. She would stop making them. I had to go on the internet and make a brand new formula and experiment with them. And I kept on making those things. So that was another thing that I added to the shop. So I wanted to make really, really cool things. I will get girls really into me. And I, of course, tested out with my girlfriend. Well, I had quite a few at one point in my life. And that's the thing. Like eventually you wanna settle with somebody who you actually really like. But until you get to there, you wanna find your path, find somebody who you can't live without. It pretty much comes down to that. Because if you're not satisfied in some area of your life with whoever you're dating, it's not good enough. And obviously you don't want to date free when you can go for an 8. It's like something like that. And so some guys settle for like a 5 and they get married to something like that, and they're not happy. Some guys just settle for anyone, and some guys don't settle for anyone, and they just continue their search without finding a way out of this maze. So whatever it is, like the BDSM stuff, like I got into it, it was you have to find somebody who's interested in though, and that's one thing about is like when you get somebody into this, you have to ask the question. First is the consent, of course, the most important thing. Right? Like never lose that part. It's like you gotta be into it, okay? It has to be some kind of verbal consent. Obviously, some people want it in writing, but you have to be able to find people who are into that stuff. And you can find it on any website, but the best part, of course, there was a site called FetLife. I don't know if you know about that one.
Yes, I do.
Obviously, you can get them easy on that site. But of course, if you're looking for a girlfriend material, FetLife might not be the site for that. I mean, you can get lucky anywhere, but on a regular site, that's where you have to put it incognito, of course, if you want to get into that kind of stuff. Now, before we get more into pedals or whatever, you have probably some questions after
I
I said
do.
what I said.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and start that.
Okay, well, first, I appreciate everything you shared here. There's a lot of things you mentioned, but I want to bring it back into how you really got into it. So you mentioned that impact play was like something you were more into, but I'm curious in why impact play? Like, was there some kind of an experience you had where maybe you got spanked or you spanked somebody, and then it just led into this journey of getting involved in especially making paddles? I want to know more about the origins of that.
Well, the whole thing is, I always enjoyed the whole idea of spanking. It was like something like, you read it in the books back in the ancient days. They used to spank people, not like this, but they used to spank them much more. They used to spank them in school. It used very, very common. The whole thing about impact play is that, like, once in a while you find a partner who's really into it, and then you're like, wow. After you do this, I don't want to get somebody else who is not into it. But it depends. It's not necessarily a part of your life, but it's a part of your life you want to kind of have. So hand spank, you can do that. You can, hey, your hands is gonna start holding after a while. That's why the pedals are so much better. It depends. Like some after a while, if you spank somebody, they get more used to it. And as they get more used to it, they want it harder and harder. And that's when you need to get better pedals. Now, there is something called as a trainer pedal. It's mostly for newbies. There is also lightweight pedal, not too heavy, that you can use as well. Because once you get to the heavy duty, really heavy pedals, you can't just go and jump into that, and unless the girl is already super into it. And that's the thing that you were asking me about that. So yeah, I got into this a long time ago. I had one partner. Before that, I didn't have absolutely a partner who was super into it. And the thing is, every single time you have somebody who's not super into it, you can always get them into it. But you got to do this right. So, for example, you're not going to, in the middle of the relationship, tell them, I'm into spanking. You're not going to go after 7 or 8 dates, tell them, hey, you want to get spanked. You got to start right away. You got to really let them know this is what you want to do. And they're either into it or they're willing to explore or they're totally not. So that's something to keep in mind, that there's certain girls who absolutely hate spanking. And if you're dating them, you have to understand you probably never will be able to spank them, which is okay. But I have had one of those relationships and it was not that great.
Like you said you couldn't spank her at all?
No, that one didn't want to. Like there was certain ones who
So torture.
absolutely don't want that done to them. So you have to respect that. On the other hand, there's those who are super into it, or there's those who are in the middle. They don't know if they want it or they don't. So you got to introduce them to that. Of course, that's not really necessarily a required part of who you're dating. Just because I have the pedals doesn't mean like everybody who I'm going to be dating, I'm going to be spanking them. But at the same exact time, there is certain girls who are super into it. And that's a great way for you to go ahead and enjoy something in addition that you're going to be enjoying other aspects of the relationship. But it's much, much easier for you to get what you want in the relationship by going into multiple different things and offering them something that most guys don't.
Could you
Because,
could you go more into that? You said more things.
well, there's certain guys who just offer them dinner,
Hmm.
offer them a spanking.
Hmm.
And that sounds like, okay, like who would go for that? You build them up into it, right? Or like some girls are like, okay, this is new. I want to try this out.
Hmm.
Now, just having one pedal is just not enough. You have to have at least two or
Hmm.
three. Thing is, it shows that you're it shows that you're into it and you know what you're doing. Because if you have only one, you're like, okay, I just got one. Especially if you got a cheap one, it doesn't really impress them. Think about
Hmm.
more of them is more impressive. Of course, if you have 100 like me, that's a whole different story. but it makes it harder to select which ones to use. But that's a different story. But if you have only like one or two, that's okay. You can still start with that.
Hmm.
You gotta learn the ropes in there. Now you're saying other stuff. It's like some people like to get tied up.
Hmm.
So you can talk to them. Some women love that, but you have to get the trust in though. So that will take you even longer to get to that part of the BDSM. The getting to spanking is the easy part. Well, after enough trying it out, of course, because initially that's probably the hardest thing for some guys to do. They can get sex, they can get the girl, but when it comes to like spanking them, they're all totally shy and can't even do it.
Hmm.
They can't even say anything about.
Hmm.
So that's something for you to really think about.
Actually, on that same thread, well, first of all, Sergey, do you have any paddles right now next to you? Like any beginner ones? Um,
Yeah, so I want to show you. I did bring some over. So the beginning one is like the trainer one. So trainer one would be like something like this. And in fact, there's different variations of even the trainer one. So there could be a trainer one that could be a much, much hardcore than this. And it has nothing to do with the looks. It has to do with the wood quality.
mm.
So this one, for example, is a trainer one. And this one is a trainer because it's made out of pine. Pine is very
Can you
lightweight.
can you bring it up closer? Yeah.
Yeah, so the lightweight pine, and this one is colorful. Now you can get one that's not colorful too, but because it's lightweight, it's it's good for getting started with that. But you of course can get there is a trainer one that looks like this too,
Wow.
as well, but not this specific one. So I want to talk about those a little later.
That one looks really small. That one looks like the palm of your hand.
Yeah, I'll show you. So this is the triple O one right here.
Mhm.
Now, I didn't show you every single sample here. So this one right here
Mhm.
is also there is one that is a trainer one. Like for example, you can just pick the cheapest one,
Mhm.
and usually they're the trainers because they much more lightweight when it comes to the wood.
Mhm.
Now, this is wrench, so it's much more hardcore here, and it's much more heavier. So when you get to the heavier ones, although this one is small, it's still painful.
Mhm.
And depends on the wood type. So talking about wood types, I'm going to show you the wood types here. Um, the wrench one over here is one of the highest, most painful ones I got because it's heavy. It's
Mhm.
very, very heavy and thick. So this kind of wood, when you smack it, it's gonna really, really be painful.
Mhm.
Now there's two more that are very, very painful as well. And the next one, and those you probably should get three of those. Because if you're into the heavy duty ones, there is the second one is the purple heart one, which is much more common. Most people know about that one a bit more. It's also pretty heavy as well, and it's actually naturally called purple, and it ages over time.
Mhm.
So this design, keep in mind, changes over time. It starts very, very high purple, and it keeps on looking like this. So right now it looks like that. But over time, it might change its composition. It's natural. It's very, very interesting how
Mhm.
this goes about. Range stays the same pretty much for all its eternity. Same thing with this one, which is African coral wood.
Mhm. It's
it's
nice.
kind of this reddish look to this
I
naturally.
like that one.
So this one is one of my favorites, by the way, this specific one. And I really like the natural core of this, the design and how it actually handles and works, plus the way it feels. Now, all three of those I showed you, the density is so similar to them, and the heaviness is similar as well. So you can just pick any of those, and you can get pretty decent spanking out of it.
Yeah. Sergey, the last one you showed, I like that one. I might have to message you later to buy that one.
So this
Yeah,
one,
really nice.
there is multiple versions of this kind of wood, and you can see them about, but they're exotic. So you will see those different kinds. So this is the axe pedal, by the way, and I wanted to talk about the axe pedal now. First, before I talk about the axe pedal, I want to talk about the holes, which a lot of people are asking, why do they have the holes? It's for air resistance. So as you smack somebody in the butt, and if this had no holes, it would be much harder for you to swing this. Make you swing it much harder. It's harder for you to control this. It's good, which makes it better for you to be able to grab it and spank it when there's holes. That's for the air resistance. And this is for it not to fly out of your hand if you get too intense with it.
Yeah.
Now, this whole design is showing an X, pretty much like a triple X thing, which makes it one of the reasons I made the X design for it. And the second one that has the X one to it is this one over here as well. You can see that whole pattern. Now, there's different kind of paddles like that. Now, people underestimate the small size of those things, not understanding that you can give just as bad spanking of this with the small ones if you get very dense one, as you can get a very, you're not going to be able to give a good spanking with the pine, with the trainer, if it is pine. But if you get this in purple heart or coral wood or something like that, this is going to hurt. Plus, it's 3/4 of an inch. It's much thicker. Now, it's going to be different kind of pain than getting something bigger, because bigger is going to be over a more wide area. But different girls like it different ways. So obviously having different kinds will give them different sensation. So they'll come back to something else. So somebody who's so much into spanking, like a girl, she wants to get spanked all the time in different objects, all different pedals. Pedals are best because they are very, very good. When you spank somebody, they're less likely to give you damage like a belt, because they will just puncture your skin. So, of course, we have some canes too, and I have not bought any of those things over. Those are even worse because they're much thinner, and they're much worse because you can personalize it. And if you hit somebody hard enough with that, or there is actually a hairbrush one, I don't know if you've seen one of those, and you can just put one letter on that. Yeah, there's only one left now. but if you smack somebody hard enough with the hairbrush, it's almost like the same thing as an actual hairbrush, but the design, it looks like a hairbrush with a letter right on this, like an axe, and you like smack somebody and then leave them an axe right on their butt. In fact, somebody actually did that, and they posted right on my Etsy shop. There's a review. They posted their own ass. You can see it right there if you keep
I think I've seen it. Yeah.
You've seen it?
I think so. Yeah, I've seen all your reviews, and you have a lot of good reviews, a lot of good stuff. Yeah.
And then you see somebody actually posting their naked ass.
Yeah, so funny.
Just show that with the axe there.
Yeah. That's really good. That's a good fan. Real quick though, you mentioned two things I was going to mention
Before you
before I
get
go.
into it,
What?
before you get into the
Yeah.
question, I want to show you this.
Ooh,
So this one
yeah.
is a red one. This is one of my favorites, by the way. And you can see triple X right there. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I like that.
So that one is really interesting. It's an oak. It's not one of the high-end, really expensive pedals, but yet the size of it and the coral is so impressive, especially the way it looks. And I think the red stuff makes it really glow over there. Now, as I designed it, I don't know if you noticed this with the competition or anything, as you are holding it, it doesn't hold your hand when you spank them, because it has been designed for you to hold very good. and the grip is good too. So it's not gonna accidentally fall down as you're doing it. See?
Mm.
So what's your question?
Excuse me. I was going to ask you, so I understand that with, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, with leather paddles are not good to use with multiple partners because of sanitizing or something. In that regard, if that is a true statement, you could correct me. Um, do we use wood because it's just you could use it with multiple partners and it's easier to clean, or is there some other reason to it, for wood versus leather?
Well, leather paddles, I have not. Leather paddles are, well, first of all, if somebody is bleeding, obviously have blood or something like that coming from the leather, that's how you probably, it's probably harder to sanitize too. How you gonna wash that thing? That's also, and it might smell as well. So I don't know if you like that kind of stuff, but definitely the wood is always the easiest to wash, to clean in case you need to do that. Of course, if you have multiple partners, some of them prefer a certain pedal, but you can easily clean them with an alcohol wipe or just run it with water in case you need to. But most of the time, you're not going to get any marks or anything on those things, anyways. Just so you know, it's not like you're sticking them into some membrane where you actually which makes it much more unhygienic. Do you see what I mean? It's like you're not actually having sex with those things. So it's not a sex toy per se. It's a spanking tool. So there is, I don't like the leather ones as much, but some people, I mean, if you have already a collection and you have one leather, then you can compare the leather versus the wood one. And I only have the wood ones in my shop, so
Yeah,
obviously I don't sell those things.
makes
I
sense.
think the leather ones are, there is two classes of those things. There is the super cheap ones from China, and there is the super expensive. There is nothing in between. So either you're gonna get one for leather for like custom made, really awesome for like $120 or something, or you're gonna get the one for $10 from directly from China. It's gonna be extremely cheap and probably is not gonna feel that great.
That's funny.
Do
Yeah.
you have any that you, is that what you asked, or you just in
I did
general?
actually a long time ago. Yes, there was a some of the women I used to date were switches, and I'm not submissive at all. However, there were switches, and they would tell me that Armin, don't use a leather paddle because if she bleeds, or, if the girl bleeds, it's gonna get on it, and then now you're transferring some germs to me. And also, I was not cleaning those things at all. Like I was pretty dirty. Okay, so it didn't help to my case.
Okay, so the thing is, if you're gonna smack them enough for them to bleed, obviously it's gonna be like, obviously you have to clean them up. Of course, maybe the best solution is, of course, for each partner to have their own pedal, which might actually solve that problem.
Yeah.
Give them that, and then they know for sure that this only been used on them. But if you once in a while see somebody, it's probably not worth it for you to buy a pedal for every single partner,
Yeah.
especially if you have like 10 or 20 of them.
I had one and I was using it with like everybody, and there was a lot of girls. Okay, back in the day, there was a lot of girls.
Yeah, so if you wanna use something where eventually you go all the way impact that hard,
Mhm.
um, you definitely should sanitize it. But I would stay away from the leather ones also because they're cheap as well, because those things they're not as impressive. They're more like using a belt. It's
Mhm.
almost the same exact sensation, I would say.
Mhm.
But then if it gets dirty, that's going to be impossible to clean. You have to just trash it eventually. So it's
Mhm.
probably not worth it, especially if you're going to go and hit it that hard.
Mhm. That's true. Real quick though, I know that you have. Do you have any paddles with anything on them? Do you only have like? Did you only bring the ones with holes in them? Do you have any like with words on them?
Yeah, those the ones with roads, but they're the ones that are not uphill. So
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna have, the thing is, most of them got sold out, and it takes a very long time to get more of them
Mhm.
because the guy is hand making me a lot of them at the same time,
Mhm.
and he's not doing that well. So that's another thing. So any day now, this might be the end of this business anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm getting as many as I can in my shop,
Mhm.
so it stays there for a while. Of course, I have a lot of them right now, but the ones that are main best selling are the ones that you've been talking about, the ones that
Mhm.
have personalization to them. And there's a few in the shop, but I'm probably going to get a bunch more soon. I don't know when exactly,
Those are my
but
favorite.
yeah, I have like 3 or 4 probably still left over there. But that's about it. But I'm gonna get much more of them soon that you can personalize and do that. But those are different. That's the thing, because if you're smacking them with leaving letters on them, you're also missing some fun part of experiencing different kind of pedals and testing out just smacking the ass pretty well.
Mhm.
So that's another thing that you should probably get into, especially the X pedals. Like for me, of course, I have like 10 of those that look like this,
Mhm.
like specifically 10. This is one of my favorite designs, by the way. I like it because it is slim, yet it's super powerful. But yet, unlike this one, which is the trainer, as you can see here,
Mhm.
this one is much more heavy duty and it's small. It looks small and kind of innocent, but it's not. This thing is gonna really make some marks on someone's ass. Because if you look at the difference between them, now you can tell that this
Shit.
one is a little bit more, it got a different kind of smack to this. You see, this one is more wide. It can get both butt cheeks at the same time. Now, with this one, you can get some workout. I know if you want to get your hand worked out when you're smacking somebody, trust me, man, it beats the gym. You're gonna beat someone's ass.
That's funny. Yeah. Now, is there anything like you specifically wanted to, like bring up or talk about?
Yeah, so there's something known as a cane. I have not brought every single one of them out. Maybe like another session, I should bring the other
Oh, yeah.
stuff to show. But the cane is awesome because the cane itself, you can, it's much more thinner.
Mm.
And when you smack someone in the ass, that thing holds like an actual cane. So
Mm.
some girls are like totally into that stuff. They're like, I want to try something other than the pedal. So I have a few canes. They're not. Now, there's one girl I was gonna date, and she's like told me, the only reason I came over, I want to get my ass spanked bamboo stick.
Wow. Oh my God. Wow.
Yes, and she was into black belt martial arts. She's like, I can handle this pain.
Wow. That is, do you normally meet women like that who really like, they kind of like shock you with their level of pain?
Well, the thing is, you gotta when you talk to them, you'll be surprised who is really into that stuff because most guys don't even ask those kind of questions. All they do is like, can I have sex with you? And
Mhm.
they beg for it, and that's what they do. And a girl has a whole inbox full of that stuff.
Mhm.
It's pretty much every single day. A woman on those dating sites, especially in a big city like yours,
Mhm.
is going to get flooded with 200, 300 messages a day. How are you going to stand out?
Mhm.
So obviously, if you're not standing out in that site, you're not in a small city. Yeah, you there is less competition. Of course, there is less selection as well. So that's that's another problem. But in a big city, it's a whole different level. But then if you want to date somebody who's totally into that kind of stuff, you might have to go straight to fat life because for most guys that's easy.
Mhm.
But you have to impress when it comes to fat life because obviously they have their inbox flooded for the same exact reason.
Mhm.
And fat life is not a dating site.
Mhm.
So for you to stand out, you gotta get some asses pedaled first, which is the catch 22. So on that one. But that's a whole different level fat life than any other dating sites like Tinder and so on. So without you have to kind of give them a clue that you're into this stuff. Then you have to talk to them about, and of course you have to have a pedal to show them. because obviously you're just talking. And some guys don't want to get into that kind of things, thinking about the legal implication and everything else. Well, if you have consent, you have a piece of paper, you get to sign that. And you should definitely sign it if she wants to get it really spanked pretty hard. Because obviously then that's a different kind of an issue. I mean, spanking legally, it's one thing, but if you're gonna really spank them until they're gonna have some marks, then they should definitely sign some kind of a consent with you, so you don't get into any trouble.
Hmm.
They have to, you have to understand the whole BDSM thing is about the enjoyment of the other person, and it has to be safe. So they have to enjoy their experience. You're not spanking them to cause them pain. It's actually to cause them pleasure.
Yeah.
And those kind of girls actually enjoy that kind of pain. So not only you have to seek the ones who like that stuff, the second thing about this, you have to make sure it's consensual and to make sure they actually enjoy it. Because obviously you don't want to spank somebody who's not into it. And if you're getting somebody who wants to get into it, you definitely should start with something like a trainer paddle that is not as painful. And you have to start at the lowest level with any of those, because you can always go higher. Obviously, if you smack as hard as you can someone's ass and they're not into that stuff, they'll never come again. So you got to do like, okay, somebody wants to get started, you start with one. Next time you go higher and higher and higher to the level of comfort until they get used to a certain level. Obviously, easier if somebody who's already is a spanker is into that stuff, because you can definitely just jump easier to any pedal you want. So that's, I don't know if you had any problems with that, but that's something that you should definitely, I don't know if you exactly have a question about this, so I can go and tell you about.
No, you could keep on going. Maybe I was gonna, excuse me. Have you had an experience with somebody who, it's like it was like you were just like not expecting can you go like a story or like an experience with a woman who you know um as you were spanking her or like something that's changed like have you had any weird awkward moments?
No, you basically know exactly what you're getting into as you're doing it. It's very going to be unusual if you're going to go into it and she's like, "Oh, this was too much," or something like that. That's more likely happens if you have miscommunication at the start of it. Obviously, you're not going to tie her up and spank her right away before you go and make it consensual, which is the whole entire key here. Is like, okay, if she wants to get spanked, you're going to spank her with a paddle until she says the safe word.
Hmm.
And that's when you end this. Remember, the safe word is the most important thing in here, because you don't know if she's screaming of pleasure or of pain, but you will know that she says stop and so on. Obviously, if you tie somebody up, they can't say anything. So obviously you have to have another way of communication and so on. But that takes trust. Like for example, if you want to tie somebody up and spank them, that takes a very high level of trust for them to do both. So that's gonna take way advanced stage. And of course, most likely you'll be dating somebody who is into that stuff.
Mm.
My dog is here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, was
Hey, can you like
yeah,
edit this part out, because I gotta get him out of here.
yeah, go for it. Yeah, I could pause it. Okay, I can't remember what was the last conversation, but I do have another question for you. You mentioned earlier that I'm going to put it in my own words. You got into spanking, impact play, um, and then you mentioned that this attracts women. Okay, like you need to stand out in some way. Now, are you into impact play um, for the sole reason of knowing that women are captivated by BDSM and spanking, or is it more of a you're like really passionate about this, like you really like paddles, you just like the idea of paddles and the whole thing with them.
Well, that's an interesting question, but in some ways, I specifically seek out sometimes girls who are into this lifestyle. because it's much more interesting to find somebody like that. It's like a unicorn. It's like it's not that easy to find somebody into it, but when you do, it's much more fun.
Mm.
Now, can you use that to seek out specific women? Not exactly, because they have to be into that kind of stuff. So you just having that stuff and like, okay, I'm into spanking, it's going to put off a lot of the ones who are not into that stuff. So unless you, of course, introduce it correctly. Now, being mysterious, different, and having a pedal and then start talking about like putting seeds into her head about this kind of stuff might actually work, and eventually you introduce the pedal. So there is a way to do that specifically, but you have to be good at doing it if you want to get them into it. But at the same time, it's not exactly like the key to the door to people who are not into that stuff. But it is the key to the door with people who are into BDSM or are into kink or just about anything different. So if you're like dating somebody who is not your 99% of the women out there who mostly the same exact cookie cutter thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there is plenty of women who do the mainstream stuff, and there is a minority, but I'm not saying there are 1%. I'm saying there is 99%. I was talking about just the mainstream versus the not mainstream, the ones who you're dating. Now, that amount of percent, well, my percent is almost up today. That amount of percent is probably like what, 25%, 30%. I don't know. It's a minority giving any time that you're putting yourself out there. And it's not going to be too many people. But when you find them, you will see they're different. They want to do something other than sex, because most of the guys, you're the one who mostly sends them the messages. Like a lot of guys send them the same exact message. And they are, hey, you're beautiful. Hey, I want to have sex with you. Come over, I'm awesome. Like there's plenty of guys who are thinking that stuff is gonna work. When you look at the inbox, and you check a girl's inbox out, if you ever did that, you will understand that you see most of the messages are going to be the same thing for most of those guys. And be once in a while to be somebody writing something different. And a woman gets flooded with the same exact thing, 270 messages a day. And then she gets one from a guy that is different. She might check it out. Now, obviously, you have to learn how to craft it correctly. Obviously, you have to learn how to talk to them, right, to get to that level. But for me, if I'm going to get into spanking somebody, I would get them into the seed of it. Hey, have you ever did something different? Like, have you ever got spanked on your first date? So it would be, maybe it's going to be something direct as that. Now, you're going to either get the rejection outright or be like, huh, this is different. And the conversation will keep flowing. And that's the thing. Now you planted the seed and you have to work on it. It will take you a while to work on it until eventually she'll be like, awesome, I want to try this out.
Gross. Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, obviously having, for example, if you're going to be dating somebody who never got spanked before, you're not going to have this high, big, hard pedal right there. You're going to get something like the trainer, just one of those is good, but you're going to have something that is super lightweight. And there is, of course, the X pedal that is the trainer too. But you're getting something that is not heavy. And this way, if you're going to spank them, they'll be like, oh, this is good. And you get them used to that level before you go and graduate them into something much more hardcore and heavy duty. Because obviously, something like this is not painful. It's pleasurable. And something like the other one is like super, super painful and hard. And right away, you're going to put them off. So obviously, if you're going to come to them and you're like, hey, you want to get spanked or something big, the girl who's super into BDSM, she's like, wow, her pussy's going to get wet seeing something like that. Most vanilla girls are going to run for the hills when they see that. But obviously, if you really want to impress somebody and you can just go ahead and hang this on your bedpost on the top of it. Then they know what they're coming to.
It's like your sword, except it's like, the paddle.
Yeah, exactly. So you can stick one of those in top of your bed, and most girls are like, "What's this?" So you
Mhm.
can say, "Hey, you keep on misbehaving. One of those days, I'm gonna take this off and spank your ass." And
Mm.
I'm sure she's gonna be like, either she's gonna be into it or she's gonna be totally repulsed by it. And he's like, "Okay, I'm not gonna misbehave with this guy again."
Mm.
So obviously, you give clues like that
Mhm.
if you want to get her into this kind of stuff. But
Mm.
of course, if you have the hanger and you have a few pedals right on this stuff, like I do in my closet, I just open my closet up and there was like 5 or 6 of my favorite hangers, actually 5 because I have the fifth one. But you open this up and you see
Mm.
that the girls are like, wow, which one am
Yeah.
I going to get spanked with? It's not like which one. Uh, Before, you talked about spanking, but now she has 5 choices versus
Mm.
before that she'll be like thinking,
Love
am I
that.
going to get spanked? Is the guy just talking about it? Now there's 5 choices. I have to get spanked with which one? So it's kind of like the seed is right there. It's already been planted. You come to me, you see it. Now you either take it or you leave it, right?
Mhm.
So most girls are like, okay, I'll try it.
Yeah, we love that. No, wow. Honestly, I have like a million more questions for you. One of the, I guess I want to respect your time as well. I guess I'll ask this question, and then if you have anything also, Sergey, that you want to talk about, please bring it up. But
Well, if there is a popular demand for this stuff, we can definitely do a part 2 of this. So I have like
there will
more.
be. There will be a demand, I promise you. There will be. Now, okay, okay, I'll ask one more question. So, man, I was holding off this question, but I'm going to ask it. Scene play and lifestyle. So it sounds like from my end you're more of in a lifestyle, but what's your take on scene play and lifestyle in regards to especially in regards to spanking?
Okay, you're talking about what's my take on it or
Yes,
the take
yours. No,
in
what's specifically yours?
okay, if I like it just simulation play or if it's a lifestyle thing, is that what you mean?
Yeah, like which one are you, and also what's your take on it?
Well, like I said, it depends with the partners. Like for my thing, it's mostly about who am I dating. So if I'm dating somebody who's into that stuff, I'm totally cool with them experiencing that stuff. But if somebody is not really into that stuff, you can do hand, or you can go ahead and use the beginner panel
Mm,
pedal. It just depends who you're dating at the moment.
mm,
Now, if you're dating somebody who is totally not into it, which I did at one point, who was
mhm.
totally not into
Never again. Yeah.
yeah. So somebody like that was somebody who I but then again, you get somebody who can experiment and would like to try some new stuff, and maybe you like her about other things as well. So this is just something that if you really think about this way, like dating, there is different things that have to be in a relationship for you to really have a good relationship. And that's just part of it. It's not the whole entire thing. But if the relationship is really messed up and there's nothing else going except for the spanking, let me tell you, that could be an awesome relationship
Mhm.
for that specific amount of time, but that's not going to last you for a long time. So, for example, if all you like to do is just get spanked with the relationship, is just the same as you just get sex or the relationship too. Like this could be awesome, but too much of a good thing is too much. And at the same time, after a while, the goal gets burned out by that specific thing. So keep that in mind that if you're into it for lifestyle, you have to have a lot more going for you than just one specific thing. And the same thing for the girl, unless she's a spanker and that's all she wants to do. Like I said. So there is those girls you might be able to date, and you know what? You might get sick of that yourself. So if you ever date a spanker, all she wants to do is get spanked for anything all the time,
Mhm.
and she wants to live this 24 hours a day. Now, I don't know. After a while, this can get boring. So just keep that in mind. I'm warning you about this because those girls go into that stuff. And you know what? None of those pedals you just see are good enough. You have to have the heavy duty ones, the biggest
Mhm.
ones, and keep on using it and using it and using it because they over time, they get really adjusted. They can take that level of pain and they can have to take more it to the next level and so on.
Wow.
So just keep that in mind that if you find a spanker, they would actually exhaust you with that stuff.
Do you have one of those big paddles, the 16 inches, in every room?
No, I should have, right?
One in the hallway also, in the stairs too.
I have more than enough of them over there. So I know you have the 16-inch one,
Mhm.
the one you tried. There is different kind of 16-inch, and
Nice.
oh, you have the biggest one. So this is the one. This is the boss one. There is only one left like this.
Only
There's only,
one?
there's only one more left like this. This is
Nice.
actually on the in this planet. You
Wow.
own you own one of two of those.
I feel honored. That's amazing.
That's how unusual that one is. There's actually only a second version of this one ever made,
I love
and
it.
that specific one is even worse than the one you hold
Mm.
because
Wow.
that's the. Remember you said the red one. Remember you talked about
Yeah,
this one.
I like that one.
So that one you just hold it in your hand. There is that version of the African coral wood, which is
Mm.
all red, natural.
Mhm.
It's the most expensive pedal I have and the most heaviest one over there. So the one you have is that the redwood? I think it's red oak.
I
That's what
think, yeah, I mean, to me, it doesn't look red. To me, it looks like kind of like tannish color.
yeah, that's the
But
red
yeah,
red oak.
I see.
That's
Okay.
what it is.
Yeah.
But well, just like I said, the second version of that thing is much more heavy duty than that one. Although this one is
Oh,
heavy, that
wow.
one is even heavier.
No way.
And it's
Wow.
even worse. So if you're looking for the baddest of the badass, that's the one who sits. I don't know. Somebody's gonna eventually buy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Wow. I might have to get, it might have to be me. So I get both of them.
That's gonna be
Both of them
badass.
in that would be insane. Oh my God. Yeah. I love that.
And you have to have a whole room full of like BDSM
All of
stuff.
them. Listen, it's going to happen. And I'm glad that, I've met an individual like yourself who has, the means to have these beautiful quality, just, craft. Okay. Just having this is amazing. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, I probably should get more of those if this guy is up for making another one of those. Because that thing took him a while. Probably took him a whole month to make that one in general. Because those things are so it takes from scratch, basically, it was built. And I told him the specs I want for this one. I wanted to make the biggest badass pedal
Mhm.
that was ever on Etsy. And that's the one we made. So I want it to
Good.
be
I love it.
heavy, big, and huge. I don't know who wants to get spanked with that, but that's a museum quality right there.
I have yet to find somebody, but I have not given up. Cool.
Yeah, so for somebody like that, you go straight. You basically what you have to do, and that's between me and you or whoever is watching this. You obviously have to do a FetLife profile, get the permission to post the spank test on that,
That's so true.
and you have to post your pedals and everything else over there. And eventually, more girls are like, oh, cool, he actually spanked a bunch of asses. I want to be next.
Mm.
So, but then you have to, obviously, you have to spank a few asses and
Yeah.
get the pictures with
Oh,
permission
yes.
to post it on that. So that's the only way you will get eventually to find somebody who is super into it. Because
Mhm.
you message a bunch of them, and most of them don't necessarily fall for that. But some of them really, really want this experience. And
Mhm.
knowing that you've been doing it for a while and you have a bunch of pedals and knowing you're good at this, you can obviously get more of them to do that. But yeah, that takes time and you have to have the social proof.
Mm.
So pet life, you have to have the social proof
Yeah.
actually showing that you did this before and you do it constantly. And that's why when you contact somebody else, they're like, oh, cool, I want to try and get it spanked too. So it's like an experience for
Mhm.
those kind of calls. But that's going to take you, I don't know how long. It depends how long you'll be able to get the first ones to agree to to get the pictures up there.
Mhm.
Of
I have a
course, you
few.
might have to give them some money for that. Uh,
I mean, I have a few dates coming up, so I have
treat
not
them
introduced it
to
yet, but
dinner. Treat them to dinner or something like that.
I'll bring it to dinner. Okay, it will be like in my pocket. I'll just bring it up,
All
like
right.
like a gun. It will be like right here, like on the side.
Be like the
My
biggest pedal.
paddle. Yes.
Point that over. Like in the middle of dinner, like I could take this. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I know you got drunk, but you want to try?
Just put it on the table, just casually. Yeah.
That's gonna be funny.
That's funny. Yeah.
That'll be funny. Like if you take them to a lobster dinner and then at the end of the dinner, you're like, hey, listen, I know it's the end of the day, but you want to try something new? Right on the table.
Yeah. I love that. Listen, I'm gonna use that actually. That's a really I'm not even kidding. I'm gonna do that. Yeah, maybe I think you know what? Maybe the date I have tomorrow, I'll bring one of my paddles. I'll put it in my I don't know how I'm gonna put it where, but I'll put it somewhere.
Well, it has to be something like the X pedal, so it's
Yeah,
small enough
I
for
have
you
the
to
small
take.
one.
Yeah. So the whole entire point here is after you have, like, for example, you go for the dinner, that shows how you're bored, different, and you're giving them a reason for the second date. Of course, they can bail out on that one. They're like, hell no. And it depends. It all depends, like, what kind of girl is it? You will be surprised. Like, some of them will totally fall into it. You're like, wow, this guy, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Other girls are like, hell no. But let's put it this way. You have 50-50 chance on this. And two, if the date was super boring, you might actually either get rid of her or
Yeah.
you might open a new door.
Mm.
So especially those you want to get rid of,
Mhm.
have a second chance either punishing them or getting rid of them faster. It depends. Some of them like super be into this, so it might work.
Mhm.
But this is a chance you're taking when you put something just like that on there because you're telling them that, hey, we're gonna do this. Now, make sure before you go and talk about this, you gotta seat them during the conversation during the dinner.
Mhm.
Obviously, talk about spanking, ask her, give her some clues and everything else. At the end of the dinner, you put your
Get
weapon
it
right
going.
out.
You open
You
up and
pull, you
oh.
pull your weapon and you put it right there.
Yeah.
Tell her, hey, listen, if you're serious, let's do this.
Mm. Love that. Yeah, I love that. No, but Sergey, I want to again respect your time. This has been amazing. I feel like we're just getting started. Do you have, if you have more time, I don't mind going more, but you let me know.
No,
What's
I got to get going, but
okay.
if people really like this conversation, they have some questions,
Mm,
make sure they send it to you so we
yeah.
can have part two and we can answer them. And
Okay.
that's going to be, we might have a question and answer session. I'm sure you have some questions
Mm,
and we can show some more pedals next time.
yeah.
And if people want to get those pedals, make sure you hit Armin because he's gonna, or me, um, if you're getting this directly from his channel, there's gonna be a post below and where you can get yours.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, I will definitely, put it up here. Okay, the link is going to be right here. And then
And
just
that
click
big,
that.
oh yeah, that big one, I don't know if it's gonna stay there too long because Armin has his eyes on that one.
Yeah, you have to compete with me to outbid me. Yeah. But no, but this was great though, Sergey. Thanks so much for being here. And we'll definitely have more of this as well, like a more of a maybe mixed panel. And eventually when I get to the position when I can monetize, I'll have the super chat. So we'll have like a live call where people will put their comments actually in there. And that will be really exciting. Okay, so a lot of good things to come.
Okay, we see you then.
Yeah, thank you.